Hello everybody, welcome back if you're a returning viewer. If not, then hello. My name is Tango and I'll be, I guess, your Clip Studio Paint guide for today. So yeah, in this video I'll just give you a quick little crash course or a little rundown of the most basic features of Clip Studio Paint and how to navigate your way around Clip Studio Paint. So yeah, I would low-key, I would recommend, to be very honest, I would recommend just jumping straight into Paint. That's what I did a few years ago back when I first got this app, and it's been going pretty good so far. I've had to search up tutorials very limited amount of times. If you know drawing drawing softwares, then you'll understand Clip Studio Paint. It's not the most difficult thing to grasp on a basic level. So yeah, if you have already drawn on my digital softwares, then I recommend just going straight into it. But if you're still here, then I gladly welcome you. So okay, yeah, Clip Studio Paint is a paid software. So what I have right now is EX. That's the most advanced. That's the highest level of Clip Studio Paint, so I have the most features. So maybe if you have Pro, then some of the features that I say here won't be with you, such as like certain animation things, but I'm not even sure. I'll get to animation today, so who knows. Let's get into it. This is the landing page of Clip Studio Paint. It's also just Clip Studio. You can see right there, Clip Studio, just instead of anything else. Let me click this app as well. Yeah. Here you can see a bunch of news, generally, and you can also see your works. Right now I have them like closed. If you just like put this arrow up, if you click on this arrow, then it'll close them. I have them closed because my full name is in there, so I don't want to turn those on. So yeah. On the right, you can see that you have Paint, Modeler, a little Manage tab, Service tab, Export Publish tab, and News. These tabs are pretty useful when it comes to, for example, getting brushes. Like here, you can find some brushes if it'll load. I don't think it'll load quick enough. I'll just wait. Let me just wait. That's a better idea. There we go. So here you can see a bunch of like brushes and materials you can get. So let's just say I want a manga pen. Manga pen, sure. Maybe not. I just like spell it. Manga pen. See that I have a bunch of manga pens that I can download, and yeah, here you have some like tips for better art. There's a Q&A community. There is a place to showcase your work. Here you can create a fanzine. You can export EPUB data. You can export to Webtoon, and there's also news and highlights, which is just this page. There's also having an issue, which I won't click on because that'll open up like my browser. So yeah. You can also find like grade your licenses, enter your activation code, all that kind of stuff. Oh, let me just make it slightly more. There you go. Now you can see all the names. Nice and easy. So, what we want to do is paint. We want to Clip Studio Paint. So we click on Paint. That's in the top left corner. Modeler stuff to do with reading materials, as it says. So I don't have that installed, and I'm not going to install it right now, at least. So yeah, I'll only be going over the features of Clip Studio Paint. Now, when you see this, there's nothing. You want to draw, but there's nothing. So, what we do, we click on New. Right over here, it looks like a little page with a plus on it. And right here you can see that there's 6 different modes. There's the illustration mode, there's the webtoon mode, there's the comic mode, there is the printing of fanzine mode, there is showing all the comic settings, and there's also an animation. So just see their full names if you click on the arrow there. But right now, we're just going to do like an illustration because I want to show you all the basic features of it. Next, the file name. Just change that to whatever you want it to be. I'm going to change it to Clip Studio Paint. EX. No, not EX. Just regular tutorial. And here you can have like presets for the dimensions of the canvas. You can also change the unit here, so you can have it in centimeters, millimeters, inches, whatever, and it automatically converts. But for now, just pixels is fine. 1920 1080 heights works perfectly fine. You can just change the weight, the width, and the heights as well. You can also flip them around, and you can also have like other presets here, so like A4 paper. But I'm going back to 1920 because I like that, or 1080p, whatever. Here you also have resolution, which is measured in dots per inches. That's to do with like printing things. So if you want to print anything out, then like by all means go ahead. Usually I would go for like the 300 dots per inch to the 600 dots per inch range, but since we're not printing anything out, I'm just gonna do 72 because 72 DPI is good for screens. You can also change the basic expression color, so you can have the canvas be in color. You can have it be gray. You can have it be monochrome, whatever. Here you also have paper color. You can just change the paper color to whatever you want it to be. But we're not gonna do that. Ours is just gonna be white. You can also just not have it, which will make it transparent. And then you can also have a template. So yeah, if you want to have like comic things, whatever, then go ahead, and that'll be your template. But we don't want to have a template, so it's fine. You can also create an animated illustration. And although I love animating, we're not doing an animation tutorial. We're just doing a basic features tutorial. So let's go into it. Okay, and then you'll have a little canvas. Yeah, you can do whatever you wanted, right? Let me go through some of the features. So, all the features have properties, subcategories, which you can see, for example, over here. They have subcategories and also like brush size things. So here you can just choose whatever you want. You can zoom in, click, and then you can zoom in like that. You can also use this bottom area to zoom out like that. And you can also use it to rotate like this, like that. And you can also reset the rotation by doing that. There we go. But that's besides the point. Yeah, you can just use those. That's kind of just what every feature has, every tool has in Kitajoh Paint. So here you have zoom in, zoom out. You have these properties over here, which can, instead of like scaling up or scaling down, it can make it do whatever you want it to be. So you can have it be scaling in and the zooming out also be scaling in if you want, for example. Oh, there we go. Then also after that, you can also have it like, you can also drag it. So if you do this, drag it side to side, then it'll scale up left, right, like that. Okay. You can also specify by the rectangle. So if you want to like zoom in, you create a rectangle right there. Boom. And then you're zooming like that. But for now, we're just going to go back to how it was before. Play with the properties. I'm not going to go through every single property for every single tool. So yeah. A hotkey for this, by the way, is, let me pull this up, Control plus to zoom in, then Control minus to zoom out. You can also do Control 0 to like bring it back to whatever fits your screen. And yeah, for rotating it would be minus like that, or the dash. And then for some reason the like key that's meant to turn it the other way around doesn't work for me, so that's a bummer, but whatever. You can just turn it back. There you go. You can turn it back by resetting the rotation like this. Alright, just move on. Here you have a hand. You drag it around with your cursor, with your stylus, whatever you're using. Stylus is better because then you can actually like draw properly, and just like that you move it around. Rotating, it's pretty self-explanatory. Where you do the same thing, you drag it around. You can like in a circle, is the best way to do it, and then you're done. That's how you rotate. All yeah. For that actually is space for the hand. You hold space. Let me show you that again. Okay. Let me show you that again. Space, and then drag it around like that. And then if you want to get to rotate while you're on something else, for example, here, R, and then you can just easily like that. Let me reset that. Actually, there we go. Okay, now onto objects. Object is for things that aren't drawings. So something like a 3D model, something like text, for example. Hello, everybody, like that. Let's say that I'm not on, like selecting that already. Then I go to operation, object, and I can just turn that around, especially when I'm on that later. Next, we also have select layer. Yeah, this is a good time to explain layers. So, layers are a way of layering on top of other things. Let me just show you. If you're already like familiar with layers, then you can skip to this part of the video. I'll just show it on screen. And if you're not, then I'll explain it to you real quick. So, not imagine actually. Let me just do it. This is a pen, by the way. So, you have whatever you want here. Let's say it's a let's say it's a little guy. Oh, that's a bad circle. Whatever. Say it's a little guy, right? But oh no, the little guy gets killed. Okay. But I want to add something else to this little guy, you know? Like, I don't know, something else that's on top of him. And I want to be able to separate that from this little smiley face drawing. Well, then I would go over it. Let me do that again. I would go over here, new raster layer. Raster only if you want to like draw vectors for different stuff like objects and things like that, which is a bit more advanced, so we're not going to cover that today. New raster layer. And then you can do whatever you want on top of this smiley face man. Let's say you're gonna make him have blush and I don't know, like a very big eyebrows, like massive eyebrows actually, just like that. There you go. Boom, massive eyebrows like that, popping out of it. But then let's say you want to change that. You don't like it. Notice how I erased right there without like changing the original underneath that? That's because I use a layer. So you can change whatever you want on that layer without it affecting what's underneath that layer. Now I've said layer a lot of times just in this one paragraph or sentence, whatever. It doesn't sound like a real word anymore. Yeah. That's a quick little kind of rundown of how layers work. There's also like folders, which you can use to organize your layers, so you can put layers inside of that folder, and then like name it smiley face. Oh, I'm covering it. Smiley face man, and then just hide it by clicking on this little eye icon over here. All right, let's move on. Let's go back to business. Oh, I was going to show you how to select layers, right? So, let's say I have that blush from the layer explanation again. Blush, eyebrows, right? I'm using eyebrows. Now I can select, using the select layer tool, I can select the layer that I want. That sounds very dumb, but okay. Now using the select layer tool, I can select that layer specifically. So if I right here, I go to layer 1. Oh, okay. I didn't know there was like a little rectangle. I can also do like a little rectangle selection thing to select both of these things at once. No, I didn't need to do that. Not his hair, his eyebrows. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of how it works. I can click, and then boom, you see that my layers have changed. Let's get rid of this guy again. Alright. Next we have the light table. Light tables are only really for like 3D stuff. We're not getting into that yet. And editing the timeline is only for animation stuff, which we're not going to get into. Next, we can move the layer. So let's bring Mr. Smiley Face Man back. Okay? We can move the layer which he's on. Boom, just like that. The face man is moving without the things below actually moving because I'm moving the layer. Now I can also move. Well, let me bring them back. I can also move tone patterns, which are like tone dot things. I'll show you that as well. Actually, why not? How do you do that? Never mind. I'm not sure. That's a bit more advanced, I guess. So we're not going to do that yet. And also moving the grid, which is something. To be honest, I don't know. In my 6 years of using Clip Studio Paint, I have never once used a grid. So let's get past that. Next, you have the selection area. You can select an area, boom, like that, and then you can also move around the area. Move around like the selection area, right? And just by dragging it around. And then there's also this little menu of option that appears right here. So you have deselect, you have crop, you have invert selected area, you have expand selected area, shrink, delete, cut and paste, copy paste, scale, fill, new tone. Oh, okay, whatever. And selection launcher pad settings. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Deselect, you deselect. Cropping is cropping. Inverting the selected area makes you select everything that's around that thing. So now I'm not selecting what's in this box anymore. I can expand that select area by a certain amount of pixels. Let's say I'm expanding it by 100 pixels. Boom, it's expanded. See that? Then you can also shrink it by 100. Now it's shrunk, just like that. You can also just delete whatever is inside this area, and now his bottom half of the smile is gone. Then you also have what is this? Delete outside selection, so whatever is not in that selection is gone. So now his top half is gone. We're doing very heinous things to this man. Then we can also cut and paste. So it also creates another copy of that layer, which you can just move around that layer. So okay, I guess not. Why is it being weird? Oh yeah, because I cut and pasted. So you're getting rid of that, and then you're pasting it in another layer. But instead, you can also copy paste. And in this case, you would copy, and then you would paste. So it's like on a different layer. You can move it around. This one, like I showed you multiple times, you like move things around. You can move things around with it. You can scale it up and down like that. You can rotate it, and you can also play around with some of the buttons here. So this is to reset the rotation, reset the entire transformation. Actually, this is to invert, flip the selection horizontally. This is to flip the selection vertically. And this is just to confirm or accept. You can also change the modes that it's using. So instead of doing scale, I can do skew, and it would do that instead, because I'm doing a bunch of weird stuff. Yeah, play around with it, and then you would get to know that kind of stuff. You also see that you have a little plus right here, right? How I can rotate things and it'll go around that little axis, that little reference point. Well, if I put it here, and now his smiley face is off. Same thing there, whatever. So yeah, it basically rotates around that axis. You can change that axis or that reference points as what reference point is what it's called in the Clip Studio Paint. You can change that in the settings as well. You can also keep the original image so that whenever you do move the things around, then there's already a copy of whatever you're moving. There's a copy of that down beneath the actual transformated thing, whatever. English explanations are not forte. Explanations in general are not my forte. So I don't know why I'm doing this tutorial, to be honest, but oh well. Maybe I should say that. You can also keep the original image so that whenever you end up moving that part or that selection, then you can just have that original image still there. So it's like you're like copying it, pretty much. Get rid of that. You can also uh, like change the aspect ratio or keep. You can tick. You can also tick an option off to keep the aspect ratio, and this only works in certain modes. So in scale and rotate, it works because like you're scaling things. So you're gonna have to sometimes you're gonna have to like the aspect ratio, but in modes like skew, it doesn't actually work because you're not going to be changing the aspect ratio of it, you're only going to be skewing it. So, yeah. Bring it back there, and I'll keep the aspect. So now whenever I do this, oh, well, it didn't register, I guess. Stop doing that. I want to keep the aspect ratio, brother. Keep it. Stop doing that. Why is it doing that now? Stop. Stop. No. Well, alright. For some reason before it wasn't working like this, so I didn't know it was like this, but alright. Yeah. I guess keeping the aspect ratio when you use diagonal things then. Or like the corners of the thing. Next, you can also change the rotation angle in the properties. You can adjust the position of it as well. So canvas, that makes it fill the entire canvas. Free position, it's free position. Now you can move wherever you want. Just keep it back there. Okay, there you go. And you can also change the interpolation method, which is again advanced stuff. I've never used this in my 6 years of Clip Studio Paint, so you don't have to worry about it either. Yeah, there's also different kind of like types of selection areas. So you can have an ellipse, a lasso, which is, in my opinion, the most useful thing. There's also different selection modes. So you can do this, which is just making an entirely new selection. You can do this, which is adding to that selection. You can do this, which is removing from that selection. And you can do this, which is selecting within that selection. So even if I go outside of the selection, it'll only keep what's inside of that, inside of the original selection. Like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, and it's gone. Okay, I'll keep it here. That's what I use the most. You can also have polyline, which, yeah, you make like polygons. You click, and then it makes different points, and you make a polygon. There's also the selection pen. Whatever you like select using that pen, it gets selected, just like that. You can also erase from that selection. So right there, boom. Boom, like that. Next you can also shrink the selection, so you can do that. Okay, it's being finicky. Oh well. You can also use the auto select tool. That's a different tool. It also like selects things. You can refer to the edited layer you can refer to the layer that you're editing right now. All the layers, or you can refer to the selection for referred layers. So, like the ones that you do like this, or something like that. Either way, play with the tools, and you'll get to know. Okay, to deselect, there's also a hotkey. You can do Control D, like that. Control D. Key for the selection, by the way, is M. So yeah, just use M. Ooh. And that key right there. You also have the eyedropper tool. The eyedropper tool, the hotkey for that is I, and you just, yeah, it's an eyedropper. You select what you want to use from that. So imagine I want to use red, boom. Now my thing, which brings me perfectly onto my next point, the pens. These are my custom pens, so you don't have any of these. Don't worry about it. Here, the pens. This is what you should have after just downloading the app. So, I'm gonna get rid of Mr. Smiley Face Man. Bye bye. You've been a good man. Actually, you can come back. I'm just not gonna use you right now. Yeah, the pens are pens. You can use them to draw whatever you want. You can change the color down here by selecting the color wheel and changing the hue of things, changing the saturation, the value of things. You can also create color sets. That's the default color set. You can also use these sliders over here and change the modes that they're in. So red, green, blue, hue, saturation, value, and cyan, magenta, yellow. I forgot. You can also like mix colors. You can also mix colors and use these little brushes over here to like mix those colors. There's like a use same subtool as canvas, which in this case is the G pen. So in this case I would use the G pen, but I don't want to do that. Let's say I want to use a brush to like mix it properly. Then I do that. I can also blend. Let's do that like that, and then I can choose an eyedropper tool, which, like I said before, the eyedropper is to select colors. Yeah. Okay. Then for the properties of the pens, you have opacity, which changes how opaque something is, so how thick it is, basically. Not how thick, how visible it is, like that. Anti-aliasing as well, which is I haven't explained that right yet. So same. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. That. It changes how rough the are. You see that with no anti-aliasing, it's very rough. Here, with weak anti-aliasing, it's kind of not too unrough, not too smooth, but like a little bit more rough. Here, it's not too rough, but it's a little bit like more smooth, and here it is smooth, like a smooth transition line. Here you also have the stabilization. So if I have no stabilization, you can see that my lines are a little bit like wobbly, but with stabilization, look at that, they're not wobbly. Just the pen pressure just changed the size of it, so don't worry about that. Yeah, you can choose different pens, and yeah, some pens will have different like properties. Like calligraphy, it will have thickness and angle instead of like other things. So yeah, pencil, similar principles. You can change the texture of it as well. That's a different property. And yeah, same thing with pastel. Here, the brushes. Yeah, similar principles. Again, it's you paint, right? Except that you can change the texture of it, the blending mode as well. You can change the amount of paint, the density of paint, the color stretch, all things like that. So play around with the tools and get to know them, become their friends. Yeah. Here you have soft, like the airbrush. Here it's soft. You spray it, make like little droplets, make noise, drawing color spray, different tools. Here you have the different effects. So let me get rid of everything that's here. You can do backspace to get rid of everything that's there. So just backspace. Yeah, so the effects are effects. I don't know what else to say. Like you can have sparkles, you can have grass, you can have clothing things like braids or well, braids are more like a pair, but laces, not laces, lace, simple frills, braids, things like that. You can also have like chains. There's also like hatching, and there's also like different lines. Next, something else important. You have the eraser. You can change the brush size of it. Obviously, I don't think I actually talked about that, so but whatever. You can change the brush size of it, and you can erase. Different erasers will do different things. This one's a bit softer. This one is a kneaded eraser. This one is rough. This one is vector, which is again to do like different vector layers and things like that. And this one can go through multiple layers. So, Mr. Smiley Face, you're gonna be back. I love you, so you're gonna be back. And I'm just gonna do that. And boom, I go through all those layers, even though before I couldn't do that. Like if I go with rough, I can't even do it because I'm like on a folder, not a layer. Look, I can only do that. With multiple layers, I can go through them all. Pretty neat. Okay, next you have blending. So we're gonna mess up this man's face real quick. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me just make them all one thing. This is all this thing. You can merge layers or transfer to lower layers. So if I transfer this to a lower layer, you can see that in the little like view layer. This went there. And then I can also just merge it completely. So, Mr. Smiley Face Man, you're ruined, right? I can blend him, I can blur him, I can use a different kind of blender on him, smudge him using the fingertips, Pinkly blender, texture blender, and copy stamp is the most complicated, so I'll just quickly explain that. I'll bring him back. Let's say I want to copy something over. Let's say I want to copy this, Mr. Smiley Face Man. Alright, you can see that Clip Studio Paint just gives you a tutorial on how to use this. You click while holding Alt, or you specify, or while I specify reference position, which is one of the properties over here. While that is on, set the location to be the copy source. So, if I Alt, and do that, then that location is going to be set as the copy source. So what that means is that whenever I do something like this, something like this, that means I can just copy over whatever is on that little like point to wherever I am right now. Since I'm on layer 2, it's like not fully good, but like yeah. Let me change that a little bit here. Yeah. Oh, oops. I forgot. Since I changed layers and I changed the reference position, it's not gonna be the same. But oh well. How neat. Yeah. Let's go back now. Here is the liquify tool. You can have the strength. You can change the strength, which adjusts the range of the liquify effect, and you can adjust the hardness, which when the value is low, the effect is focused on the center point. So hardness all the way up, and now the center point is super sensitive. Hardness all the way down, not that sensitive. And then the strength is just like how strong it is, pretty much. Yeah, if I put it down to 1, nothing happens. Almost nothing happens. Put it up to 100, then a lot of stuff happens. There you go. There's different modes you can use: push, expand, shrink, push left, push right, twirl. Let me go to layer 2. Twirl left, or twirl clockwise or something like that, and twirl anti-clockwise. Next, Mr. Smiley Face Man is very defaced. Next, you have the fill tool. You fill things. You can also fill enclosed areas. So let's say I want to fill in, let's say like there. I want to fill in this. Oh, my stabilization is all the way up. Forgot about that. It was better with stabilization. Let's say I want to fill that. Then I can just change the color over here because these two colors are like they're set colors, right? Because I changed the colors when on them. I can change the color, and boom, fill it in. And this one refers only to the editing layer. You can also change the, so I've changed the settings a lot. It's like, usually what I do is I have layers underneath, and then I fill it in. There we go. And then I fill it in, so it works a lot better. But yeah. You can refer to other layers as well. You can enclose and fill, which makes you lasso over something and then fills in that enclosed area. Only works if you have an already enclosed area painted on though. So like this, if I don't have this red circle, then nothing will be filled. And you can also paint an unfilled area. So let's say I want to fill that area in, boom, it's filled now. Yeah. Next, you have the gradient. So the gradients depends on your first and your second like color set. So for example, with this foreground to background one, if I have these two colors, I can move them around as however much I want, and then this one will also change. So this one will be, let's say I'll make this one red, and then this one will be I'll say green, red and green. I'm on a different mode. I do this, I drag it, click and drag, and then boom. When on this mode though, it'll do like it'll like carry on, pretty much. That's a weird way of explaining it, but like it'll carry on depending on how you do it. Play around with the tool basically. That's a good way to know it. You can also change the shape of it, make an ellipse of it, out of it, do whatever. You can change how it works. So now we're Christmassy, now we're Christmassy but bigger, and now we're Christmassy but only a little bit. So go hog wild, do whatever you want with this stuff. Next, we also have the lines. So I have a straight line here. That's a straight line. I click, I drag, I let go, makes a straight line. I have a curve, click, drag, let go, click, makes it a little curve. Polyline, similar to the polyline lasso, it just like based on where you click stuff, the continuous curve, which again like the polyline but makes it curvy instead. The Bezier curve, which does kind of weird stuff. Just get to know it, and it'll be your friend. There's also different modes out for it. Yeah. And the lasso fill, you lasso, you fill. My voice is hurting like a lot. Then you also have the rectangle, ellipse, and the polygon. You can change the shape, so that's why it's a circle. Next, you have the rulers. Again, this is just like a ruler. Like if you make a rule and then you just whatever you like draw on will follow that ruler. And that's the same thing with these like rules. Like that. You can also have a special ruler which does things. And also a symmetrical ruler, which makes symmetry. What? It's weird. It looked kind of weird. I don't know. I just do something whimsical. Yeah. The perspective ruler takes a bit of like getting used to because it's like weird. You click, drag, make another line, and then it creates perspective, so you can like properly draw perspective things. So yeah, very useful in times where you need it. In times where you don't need it, it's the most annoying thing ever. But yeah, you can also get rid of these like rulers temporarily if you just right click here, and then you can show ruler B, and then you won't have that ruler anymore. Or you can just delete the ruler like that, but undo. That's also easy. Undoing is this, by the way. Control Z to undo, Control Y to redo. in Clip Studio. Next, you can also create frames. So if you want to make a comic or something like that, you can make the frames, and then boom. Okay, let's just ignore how rough this drawing is, but see how I can't draw outside of any of the line? And that's because I'm using a frame. My voice is getting pretty coarse, so I'm gonna try to stop speaking too much. We're almost done with the features, so we're almost done. Okay, next. Text. Yeah, it's just pretty self-explanatory. You create a text box by dragging it like that, and set whatever you want. Play with the properties here. Yeah. Then we have text levels like that, and you can also add tails by doing something like that, or oh, I think I undid it, yeah, by doing something like that, or adding a tail like that, or like this. This one is weird. I don't know how to work this one, to be honest. There you go. That's something. You can also create a flash. So yeah. And then finally, you can correct lines. So let's say I have a line right here, a line right here, and then I can simplify. Oh no, I can adjust the line width, make it more narrow. You see over time it's getting more and more narrow, or you can make it thicker. Now it does look weird if you do it multiple times, but like yeah. You can also do some stuff to do with vector lines, and I'm not a specialist in that stuff. So if you are thinking of working in vector lines, then go look up on that. And also you can remove like dust, which is just like little particles, I guess. So you can like, imagine I have that. Then that's considered dust. You can change the dust size, and then get rid of all that. Fill left over. It's like you fill whatever is left over. Let's say I have like a little dust things right here. Fill left over. Not sure exactly what it does, but yeah, I'm not sure what it does. Okay. And you can select dust as well. Just now selected that one. You can change the dust size, obviously. So this is dust to me. You can select that dust, move it away, get rid of it forever. Yeah. And that was my quick little rundown for you on the features of Clip Studio Paint. So yeah, if you like that video, please make sure to like, subscribe, do whatever. And yeah, I hope to see you back again in the next one. Bye bye.